Hello everyone, I'm Santiago and today I'm gonna be doing a video talking about the Steam Summer Sale from now to July 11th at 10 AM Pacific, as you can read there. And I'm interested in showcasing games that are under $10 because I know that gaming is a luxury and under $10 games are usually the most interesting in my opinion when you have to cut the budget. Clarify, there's thousands of games on Steam coming out. There's always something to play, and I'm going to stick to the stuff that I actually played myself and I think is a great value considering the under $10 price point. Mostly stuff that I like, action games, a couple racing things, fighting games. So let's get into it right away and let me know your recommendations in the comments as well. Halo the Master Chief Collection, 75% off, knocking it down to $9.99 US. And this includes basically 6 Halo games: Halo Reach, Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, Halo 2 Anniversary, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, and Halo 4. Doesn't include Halo 5 and Halo Infinite. But I mean, for $9.99 US, you cannot go wrong with it. It's basically the Halo that people like. It runs pretty well, except in Halo 2 in some sections. And it's a great experience. If you want to see what all the fuss is about, for $9.99 you cannot go wrong with it. It also includes the multiplayer stuff, but I'm not usually a multiplayer guy when it comes to Halo. I'm more of a campaign type of thing. So $9.99, but it's over 100 gigabytes if you install all of them at the same time, so be ready for that. Next on our list is Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Basically Mass Effect 1, 2 and 3 in a single package. Mass Effect 1 got a few graphical updates and controller improvements. I really liked it now with those improvements. Only $6, so 90% off, $5.99. The only issue that I have with this game is that it requires the EA Play app, so playing offline is kind of a no-go, unfortunately. It doesn't include any multiplayer stuff, but I mean, if you're playing as an example on Linux or the Steam Deck, the EA app sometimes just destroys itself and you cannot play the game. You can launch the game online, then go offline and the game will continue, but to enter the game itself you need an internet connection. But if you want to play these games and you don't have an issue with that, for $6 you have tons of hours of content in some of the best RPG games ever made, in my opinion. Next one on our list is Alan Wake franchise. It doesn't include Alan Wake 2, unfortunately, that's an Epic exclusive. But the Alan Wake franchise, talking about Alan Wake 1 and Alan Wake's American Nightmare, which are the original PC ports, are 80% off, knocking it down to $5. So it includes the original Alan Wake, the original American Nightmare, doesn't include the remaster. But honestly, I think the remaster is an inferior version when it comes to performance and compatibility. So for $5 you get the small expansion and the base game. You can also buy the base game for $3.74. But I think that for $5 getting American Nightmare, Alan Wake and the collector edition extras, you're getting more than good value for that. It runs pretty well, still looks pretty good to this day in my opinion. And it's just something that you can run on basically anything at this point. Fallout 4, 60% off, knocking it down to $7.99 US. So you know what Fallout 4 is, probably. There's also the DLC, so you can buy Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition, but that's $16, so it's not under 10, but you can get it if you want to, if you want the expansions. Especially if you're doing a lot of mods, I recommend getting all the DLC as well. But for $8 you get a lot of content already with the base game of Fallout 4. Haven't even touched the DLC as of yet. The DLC that I think is worth purchasing actually is the Far Harbor DLC, but that's already on its own $9, so I mean it's cheaper, the base game is cheaper than the expansion, which is ridiculous, so prices are all over the place. But the base game itself I think is pretty damn good. It works on Steam Deck, it works on your old computers, it got an update recently that destroyed modding, but you can roll back if you don't like it, which is also appreciated from the community. Lots of people are still playing this game, and again, I think for this price, it makes no sense not to get it. Wolfenstein The New Order, 75% off, knocking it down to $5, but the real deal, in my opinion, is Wolfenstein the 2-pack. This includes Wolfenstein The New Order, and The Old Blood, which was like a standalone DLC for it. And that's also 75% off, knocking it down to $7.5 US. So you pay a couple extra dollars for the DLC, and I think it's completely worth it. This game has very punchy guns. It started the whole fast-paced Wolfenstein that we are enjoying right now. Hopefully we get a new one in the future, but this one, I really like it. It's my favorite in the franchise. I didn't like Wolfenstein 2 and Youngblood as much. I think this one is great. Just keep in mind, these are OpenGL games, so in certain AMD systems they might run pretty poorly. But otherwise, great story, great feeling of power with the weapons. You can dual wield shotguns or sniper rifles if you wanted to, which is ridiculous. But the game itself is a lot of fun and runs on many systems. Just note that OpenGL might make it difficult for some cards. Metro Exodus, 80% off, knocking it down to $5.99 US. So the Metro franchise, in my opinion, is pretty interesting. But you also have the Gold Edition for 80% off at $8. But if you scroll down a little bit further, you get the Metro Saga bundle. This includes Metro Exodus, the DLC for Metro Exodus, Metro 2033 Redux, and Metro Last Light Redux. So if you're looking for the entire franchise, for $9, $9.06 US, you can get all the Metro games. Probably you already own Metro 2033 and Last Light because they've been given away for free multiple times. So if you just want to get Metro Exodus, get the Gold Edition, includes all the DLC, just $8, 80% off. Or if you don't care about DLC, I think they're pretty good actually. The base game is $6. But again, just spend a couple extra dollars for the base game plus the expansions and you'll be having lots of enjoyment. And if you don't own 2033 and Last Light, get the bundle. It's just $9.06 US. So yeah, for $9.06 US, it's a ridiculously good deal for awesome games. This pickup might be a little bit controversial. It's the first Watch Dogs game. Honestly, I think it's a little bit underrated. I know it got a lot of negative press for the trailers and it's completely understandable. I completely agree with those people, but the game itself, I really enjoyed it. It feels very dated when it comes to gunplay nowadays, but I think the story is pretty enjoyable and it's 85% off, knocking it down to $2.99 US. So for $3, I think you're not going to get better value out of it. $3 is good. Also, if you want to spend $6, you also get a couple expansions, which I don't think they are absolutely necessary. They are fun, but for double the money, getting those expansions, I don't think is an awesome deal, to say it in some way. So for $3, you cannot go wrong with Watch Dogs. Just be a little bit patient with the controls. They might feel a little bit weird, especially when it comes to shooting. The rest, driving around and all that, is okay. And performance hasn't held up particularly great on older CPUs, but the game itself, in my opinion, is a lot of fun. And considering the price, I think you cannot go wrong with it. Just be aware that you need Uplay to play it, so you need to log into the Ubisoft stuff, and there you have to access the game. So that's kind of a shame, in my opinion. Alright, so one of the best deals so far in this sale is Batman Arkham Knight. It's 90% off, knocking it down to $1.99 US. So for $2, you get Arkham Knight. If you want to buy the DLC as well, it's $6. But the real deal here is the Batman Arkham Collection. So for $8.99 US, you get Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Game of the Year Edition, Arkham Knight, and the Arkham Knight Season Pass. So for $9, you get every Arkham game, which in my opinion is a way better deal than buying Arkham Knight only with the DLC. But if you just have $2, you cannot go wrong with Arkham Knight. It's a fantastic game. It runs much better than when it came out. It's still not perfect when it comes to optimization. But again, for $2, it's ridiculously... I mean, it makes no sense not to buy it. Everybody should have this game for $2. So let's jump into the next one. In my opinion though, Arkham Collection is the deal right now for $9. Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate plus Injustice 2 Legendary Edition bundle, 90% off, knocking it down to $9.99 US. So if you like fighting games, I think Mortal Kombat 11 is great and Injustice 2 as well. But this package includes Mortal Kombat with all the DLC, including the Aftermath expansion, which is more campaign. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. Plus the combat packs that includes extra characters. And also Injustice 2, the superhero Mortal Kombat, to say it in some way, is from the same developer. And that includes the fighter packs, so you also get many characters. And for $10, I mean, it's an awesome deal if you like fighting games or if you are just a casual like me. In my opinion, Mortal Kombat 11 is superior to Mortal Kombat 1. And again, for $10 you get two great fighting games with lots of characters. And there's no better deal than this one when it comes to fighting games, at least in my opinion. Middle-earth Shadow of War plus Shadow of Mordor, 90% off, knocking it down to $6.99 US. Nice. So the Shadow bundle includes Middle-earth Shadow of War with all the expansions, Shadow of Mordor with the DLC. Basically for $7 you get those two complete games. That is basically, in my opinion, the best one is Shadow of Mordor. Shadow of War got a bit grindy, it got updates, but I haven't played it since then. And Shadow of Mordor by itself is like some Assassin's Creed Batman stuff, which is a lot of fun. I really have a lot of hours in that game. So for $7 you can get it, or you can alternatively get Shadow of War for $2.5, it's 95% off. But if you don't already own Shadow of Mordor, I think you should buy the bundle. I mean, it includes both games. This is a must-play, Shadow of Mordor. Shadow of War, it's okay, but the first one in the franchise, it's a fantastic game, so cannot recommend it enough. Dying Light Definitive Edition, 80% off, knocking it down to $9.99 US. So this game on the Definitive Edition includes all the DLC plus the base game. There's also the Enhanced Edition that a lot of weapon bundles are basically not included, but it's $1 less, so for $1 extra, instead of $8.99 you get it for $9.99. You get all the content that there is to it. In my opinion, it's a superior game to Dying Light 2, but that's just my personal opinion, of course. And you can also find it for a cheaper price. I think the cheapest it was like $6.9, something like that, in the past. I think it was in 2023. But again, for $9.99 is the complete game with everything. It's fantastic if you like killing zombies. It has a lot of replayability in my opinion. The expansions, a couple of them are pretty big. One takes place in a completely different map and you ride a buggy around that big landscape, mowing over all the zombies, and I don't know, it's just a great time. It never gets old. I've been playing this one quite a bit, especially on Steam Deck, so I highly recommend it if you haven't played it already. $9.99, you get all the content, and it's a complete experience, to say it in some way. Next in our list, Just Cause 3, 85% off, knocking it down to $2.99 US. So the Just Cause franchise, you probably already heard about it. It's basically Michael Bay Simulator. That's for the memes, of course. So Just Cause 3 also has DLC, but in my opinion, it's nothing. There's no fuss about them. Just ignore the DLC. There's one DLC that is called Air, Land, and Sea expansion, and there's also a couple extra things. I think with the base game, you have more than enough content, and the DLC is more expensive than the game. Each individual DLC is like $3.5. So it's like $13 of DLC to have a complete experience, but I think Just Cause 3 by itself for $3 has more than enough content. It's one of my favorites, in my opinion, better than Just Cause 4. And what I like about this over Just Cause 2 is that we have the wingsuit, that without it right now, I cannot play Just Cause 2 due to the absence of the wingsuit. So please give it a shot if you like it. It's a fantastic game, lots of content, can get repetitive, but again, for $3, there's no reason not to get it, in my opinion. Left 4 Dead 2, 90% off, knocking it down to $0.99 US dollars, so 99 cents or $1 if you want to get specific about it. It's a fantastic game, you cannot go wrong with it, very good modding community. It runs on basically anything, you can run it at 90 Hz on the Steam Deck OLED, super cheap, makes no sense not to have it on your library. You can also, for an extra 50 cents, get Left 4 Dead 1 included as well. It's a little bit different, but Left 4 Dead 2 has the Left 4 Dead 1 campaign also remade into it, if you're interested. But if you want to check out the first one for another 50 cents, you can get them together. Let's get into it as well. So you got Doom Eternal Standard Edition. So for $9.99 US dollars, you can get Doom Eternal, 75% off. And I mean, the game itself without the expansions, I think is very complete with the campaign itself. It also includes the Battle Mode multiplayer, which I haven't touched at all. And then the expansions are, in my opinion, pretty expensive. They're basically the price of the base game. So you're better off just getting the base game Doom Eternal, and again, fantastic game in my opinion. And as a separate purchase, but also worth getting in my opinion, is Doom 2016. It's 80% off, knocking it down to $3.99 US dollars. So if you want to play the first one, it's also super cheap. If you get both of them, it will be like $13.99 US dollars in total. So it's out of the scope of this video, but as individual games, I mean, each of them is below $10, so you can't go wrong with them. The first one, personally, I liked it when it comes to being an action game. Then Doom Eternal has a little bit more of thought put into the combat system. You need to do more specific things. You cannot go with a shotgun and annihilate everything around you. That's more of a Doom 2016 thing. Doom Eternal requires more weapon swapping and all that stuff. But again, you cannot go wrong with any of them, and they are both super cheap. You don't need the expansions for Doom Eternal in my opinion, but they're a good addition if you're a big fan of the game. Grand Theft Auto 4, the complete edition, 70% off, knocking it down to $6. So GTA 4 in my opinion is fantastic, you shouldn't miss it. If you haven't played it, please give it a shot. $6, it includes the base GTA 4 and the 2 expansions that are pretty lengthy, at least considering what an expansion is at the time that Rockstar made this. You have one that you are basically a bodyguard for a famous person, and the other one you're in a gang of bikers in Liberty City, so that plus the base game, $6 makes no sense, so let's go for it, please. It requires a Rockstar Games account, but it works on Steam Deck. It's still not well optimized for PC. If you're trying to get way above 60, good luck with that. There's also some stutters here and there. But the game itself, you should be able to just download it and play it right away. There's also lots of graphical mods available. There's trainers, you can do basically whatever you want. The multiplayer is no longer available, so you have the single player. But again, it's peak GTA, at least in my opinion, so for $6 I think you should get it right away. Great deal. And as a final one, I don't really talk about this game much because everybody knows about it, but The Witcher 3 is 90% off, knocking it down to $4. If you want all the expansions, it goes up to $12.5. But if you want the trilogy, you're not only interested in The Witcher 3, there is the Witcher Trilogy bundle, which is 89% off, knocking it down to $7.62 US dollars. So you can get the expansions for The Witcher 3 later. Right now the expansions are at $9.99 US dollars. So if you don't want to play Witcher 1 and 2, just get the complete edition. But if you don't want to spend $13 and you want to spend $4, get the base game. There's a lot of content in there. But the trilogy is also a very good value for $7.62. I mean, they are all beautiful games. The first one feels very old, but it's old, so what can you do? And I'll go now with an honorable mention that is out of the scope of this video, is Forza Horizon 4 Standard Edition. It's 80% off, knocking it down to $11.99 US dollars. So we are above that $10 that I said in the title. But this game is getting delisted in December this year, so if you buy it right now, apart from being heavily discounted, you get to access the game after December. You can still download it, you can still play it, the servers will still be online. So due to licensing things, this game will get delisted, so I think you should actually buy it if you like racing, especially more arcadey stuff. You can also make the game easier or harder when it comes to driving, and I think it's one of my favorite Forza Horizon games when it comes to the visuals plus the performance. At the same time, I love that there is spring, summer, winter, and autumn. And I don't know, I just think it looks fantastic, plays great, has a great vibe. It's a game that really wants you to have fun, which is what's important. And if you also want the DLC, you can spend $19.99 US for the Ultimate Edition. It has a Lego expansion, more cars, and I don't know, I think the game is worth buying, but it's a special mention at the end because it's about $10. It's $12 basically. So I recommend you check it out before it's gone. And I'll see you guys next time. Let me know what you bought in the description. If you have any recommendations, again, as I said at the beginning of the video, there's thousands of games on Steam, all discounted, and there's a ton of stuff to get into. We cannot play everything, but what we play has to be a good time. And we're also trying to save some money because gaming is a luxury. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did making it. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys. Leave your recommendations in the comments.